Okay, so let me go to the first one. Again, it's a nice initiative by the Karnataka government to bring awareness about the people who are going to be the implementer of the policies. And I'm going to touch upon the policy and regulation related to startup ecosystem in India, of course, with some comments or some observation about the Karnataka state. See, we all dream our country. No, we want our country to be the developed, both the scientifically advanced and militarily strong. And this is where we want our country to go. These are the dreams. But this is possible only if India becomes a knowledge-driven economy, have the ability to develop new knowledge, and also appropriate knowledge developed in other countries. That's where the frontiers in science and technology are vital. We need to have excellence in education, research, technology development, and innovation backed by high quality manufacturing. The strategy should be technology maximization and also time minimization. When you talk about startup ecosystem, the map says that every corner of India, you will you will see some startups coming up. It is ecosystem consists of innovation, development, and improvement. The improvement can be in the services, the processes, or products. And the business model is to be has to be scalable, and it should also lead to employment generation and, of course, the wealth generation. And to qualify to become a startup, it should have been integrated, incorporated, registered for less than 10 years. It could be one person companies or a leadership firm or a limited liability where the turnover is, for the moment, it is at standard 100 crores. And let us talk about innovation, because this is something which is very important for startup ecosystem. So what is innovation is introducing something new. It could be your implementation of ideas that lead to either new goods or services, or improvement in the offering goods or services. It could be either of it, and the development of business models and making them available to markets, governments, and society. And the innovation can be in technical, where it will be engineering process, or in services, it is enhancing the way they are delivered. So innovation management is all the activities leading to introducing something new. Well, when you talk about innovation, it is important to create awareness about what is that we are talking about. Otherwise, it will happen to the person who is not accepting what is the innovation. So you have innovations, what we call it the incremental evolution, innovation, or breakthrough innovation, or disruptive. I'll just give very brief examples. If you take either the telephones or even the computers, they are incremental innovation because you see them progressively improving, but the basic model or the basic largely remains the same. So, but you're constantly improving the products, services, or processes and methods. When it comes to breakthrough innovation, harnessing new technology which comes there, and iPhone generally is taken as an example where how they used the technology and introduced a newer thing. And when it comes to services, the Microsoft is another example where they made a shift in the recent past and then trying to offer the entire suite as a service. And there's some modification which is breakthrough. And if you talk disruptive innovation, it is introduction of a product or service into an established industry already having a market that surpasses existing offerings, and also at a lower cost. And such disruptions transforms the market and changes the way business operate. So this is where I think disruption happens. So I just try to look at here, if the two businesses are there, when one new business will start, when new opportunities come, many players will enter when you see a growth in the new business. And when a new business comes, one other business which is already existing will start declining. And you will see some acquisitions and you see some smart acquisitions happening. But what is important is altogether disruption leading to a different business opportunity. This is where smart people identify these opportunities early and enter there. And that's where many of these the startup ecosystem is concentrating on the newer opportunities that are coming into there. So if you look at the ecosystem, you have to have an idea. An entrepreneur will have an interesting idea and he wants to work on this to see whether he can transform into a business opportunity. And you have to validate your thoughts. And once you've done this, once you establish this, it is time to enter to the market and get the customers. That's where the validation will happen. And the early traction is that you have this first set of customers, but then you need to have KPIs to be enhance the growth. I think it has to grow and you have to scale up, because once you have established and got your customers, now it is the time for further expansion. And there you have to raise capital if you want to scale up your proposal. So the remarkable transformation is happening in our country. Growth and increase in employment generation is seen, and proactive role played, it's all attributed to the role played by the government in form of the policies, newer policies and newer initiatives. For example, this meeting itself is an example how the government is taking an initiative to get connected to the stakeholders. And today, the number is almost like 8.9 lakh of people are working in these startups. Of course, these numbers have to be taken with caution because these keep changing so fast. And these are all I'm talking about the registered startups. There's some many startups which are not come into registration. So you will see the number, they could be much larger than what I'm projecting here. Now, what is the challenge in the startup ecosystem? One is the capital. You all agree with me that capital is essential for entrepreneurs, especially in the initial stages and also for scaling and the growth. So what the government has done? The government has done in terms of exemption on income tax and capital gain tax, of course, for a fixed period of time. There's also credit guarantee scheme. If you go to the bank and ask for money, they would not give you. So you need to have a guarantee scheme will be there. They initiated fund of funds for startup scheme, Startup India seed fund schemes. This is where the entrepreneurs can look at proof of concept, developing the prototypes and the product trials. That's where to ready to go to the market. And what is important to be done in policy and regulation is how simplify you can make it, and also do the handholding to the newly entrant entrepreneurs. So the streamlining key functions relating to the business operations, easier compliance, easier exit process, maybe legal support, and also fast tracking of patent applications. I will mention about the patent a little later. So essentially, you have to augmenting the ease of doing business is what is the role of all this policy making when it comes to startup ecosystem. And we need to have a very strong industry academia partnership and the incubation. So we need to build the startup infrastructure and culture. This is where a lot of academic institutions are going towards technology business incubators being established, of course, with the support of the government. We need to see more of them in our country. And Atal Innovation Mission is known to many of you. I think Atal incubation centers have been started, and these are for nurturing innovative startup businesses. Other tinkering labs, I think it's very interesting that you go to the school. That's where the thoughts are being formed by the young people. I had the opportunity of interacting with one such group which won the award, and it's very nice that coming from a small place, how they can think of finding solutions. So the Atal tinkering labs are also important. And also the Startup India online hub, where nowadays everything is online. So we need to provide a channel of communication between multiple stakeholders, investors, mentors, incubators, accelerators, corporates, and the government bodies. And this is what I think is important. And since you're looking and working on a new concept and converting into a product or a services, your intellectual property becomes very important. Safeguarding them becomes important, be it patents and trademarks and copyrights. And some of you who are into IP business, you will understand getting a patent is a very elaborate process, and it's also expensive way. And that's where I think the government policies is to expedite patent examination for the registered startups so that they're they'll be encouraged to protect their their intellectual property. So we need to create a secure environment where the ideas can be fostering the ideas, developing the brand recognition, and also getting a competitive edge in the market. It is the idea can be there, but the way you transform them into product or service is what makes the difference between one firm to the other firm. And just some numbers, and these numbers can be little, maybe they are changing. In 2016 there were hardly 4,750 startups were there. Today it can be as high as 1.2 or 1.3 lakhs. And in fact, recently, yesterday I was listening to Dr. Satish Reddy, the former DRDO director general. He said to me that a lot of people are participating in the defense production startups are there. And what are the stakeholders, the key stakeholders to build the ecosystem is one, government policy and regulation. That is the framework that makes a very important role in taking it forward, and incubators and accelerators, which I mentioned about it. Both universities and schools should be part of the thing, part of the system. The funding and finance is what we have to do it. And of course, competitive and large markets. I think you not think only to restrict your product to your city or your state. You should look in terms of India, pan India, and then maybe go to the outside India, and then see you can make use of the markets that are available. And when it comes to this startup, in the introduction and the welcoming, and the secretary mentioned about the Karnataka's progress, India itself has done a very tremendous, appreciable job. We are third largest ecosystem, a huge number of startups, and more importantly, a lot of unicorns with were almost like greater than 350 billion valuation. Large number of jobs have been created. And when it comes to Karnataka, it should be proud to have almost 43 unicorns, a large number of startups. And in the world, Bangalore is very proud to be ranked 21st system. I have not looked at the latest ranking system, but this is something we are there in the top and ranked as the best performer in the national states ranking framework. I'm sure this year too, the Karnataka government will get for the efforts that is making here. These are just some examples which I told Indian unicorn landscape. I don't want to tell about it, just to say they're all there now for us to see that how they are now moved on to unicorn and trying to move to the next level. Now, I thought I should pick up some 2-3 examples and say how the policy making or regulation have helped. And one is the space tech. We're all proud that what India has done. The Chandrayaan 3 is an example. India has gone to the place where no other country has ever gone on the other side of the Chandrayaan. Chandrayaan 3 is a successful. Just very recently, Aditya L1 went into the orbit. That's where it stays. And then yesterday evening, Dr. Kiran Kumar gave an excellent lecture at NIAS, and he mentioned about the success of this is that you can observe sun for 5 years. What you used to observe once in a year for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, because you can observe the sun when there is where it is possible to take. So it's very successful approach to Aditya. We're all proud of what is happening to ISRO. And then this is what has happened, the government's willingness and trust in the private space tech players. So far, it's all government. Today, the private players have started coming up. There are a huge number of startups are there, and there are more than 100 of them which are registered with ISRO. And government said, okay, we'll help you in getting funding, access to technology, infrastructure support. That's what the government should do. That not only open up the sector, but also provide them that they can make use of the infrastructure that is available with the ISRO. And 0% GST, something which is very encouraging for them. For some time, people like Microsoft are entering into this along with ISRO. This all will lead to fueling the growth of the space tech startups. And one of the very significant thing happened is the first time a private rocket has been launched which was done by Skyroot about a year and a half back. This is what is the projection of this space tech opportunity in this country is likely to go to 77 billion. Today, I said about 150 Indian startups are there. Large number of funding is there. ISRO itself is created in space, which will guide these things. The new space policy has been accumulated. This allows the private entry of private parties, very significant, and the support mechanisms for startups. Because since we talk about policy and regulations, this is what is important. One is to make a policy to open up the sector, but then you should also follow it up with the support system that is required. And today, the startups are thinking in terms of newer possibilities, new and complex challenges. It could be deorbiting, in-space manufacturing and maintenance, setting up space stations and colonies. And in fact, one of the startup at IIT Bombay incubated company in space city is looking in terms of getting into many of these things. It's what ISRO was thinking as the future. Today, startups are trying to do it in the current. Let's just try to put some picture to say these are all the startups and in the space sector, space sector thing. Just to say that these are all there to be there for us to get the results in the times to come. Now I'll shift to what I'm calling as a digital transformation. It's a never-ending story. You can always, what is transformation you're talking about? Already we are there. The Salesforce defined this transformation as, I just read it what Salesforce is, using digital technologies to create new or modify business processes, culture, and customer experiences to meet changing business and market requirements. And this reimagining of business in the digital age is what we call as a digital transformation by the Salesforce. And it's not a one and done event. And that's the way the transformation is a continuous, ongoing journey. You require constant adopting the change and innovate them. And once you do this, it helps the business to stay ahead and create newer opportunities for growth and innovation. And there are a lot of challenges in adopting this transformation. The challenges are aligning with the business strategy and customer needs. That you bring some new technology, it is to align with the business strategy and customer needs. Engaging and empowering the employees and stakeholders is very important. Typically, we neglect this part of it. When you bring a new technology or the change in the way you do things, you need to empower the employees and stakeholders. And this can accelerating the transformation. So you have to invest in emerging technologies like AI, Internet of Things, or cloud computing. You need to invest them when they are growing, and that is where the businesses will benefit by the transformation. Of course, if you want to enhance the way the business systems or startup ecosystems are going to grow, you need to enhance an ease of doing business. They're calling as smart goals. You have to have goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound is what they call smart goals. And you can see India did tremendously well in the last a decade or so. And you can see today, I think the 2020 number says we are at 63 in doing ease of business. And when we started first in 2014, it was a tremendous achievement for the government. It all happened because you have created a healthier ecosystem, simplification and breakdown of cumbersome procedures, removal of complex and unnecessary documentation requirement, and you should facilitate digital signatures, less filing and control, because whenever you want to go to a government office, you're always worried about filling up large number of papers, especially for the businesses. And all these changes are helping us in improving the ease of business to us. So enhance the transparency, and people need to be comfortable that they can rise without breaking the law. Typically, you believe the laws are there to trouble us. The governments and the policy making has to ensure that it is to make people comfortable, and also making money is a good thing. And this is something somehow we have to imbibe, and they are precious assets for the country's growth. Of course, I think it was mentioned by your secretary about the beyond Bangalore is what government has been, Karnataka has been thinking. It is inspired with the growth of Bangalore. Bangalore is doing very well, but can it be only Bangalore? Can we go out to the other states? That's where tourism, when it talk about it, it helps that part of it. The Karnataka Digital Economy Mission Initiative is working towards a promotion of emerging technology clusters across the state. It's not only Bangalore and beyond Bangalore is what is the title of their approach. The IT policy, which is to boost IT penetration innovation in other places. the develop and facilitate a product-based ecosystem in select identified clusters, strengthen the emerging tech clusters of the state. The strategic policy interventions are creating a dynamic ecosystem with focus on infrastructure development, increasing the talent availability, and enhancing the market space. There's a mention about how we can get women into entrepreneurship. This Elevate Women is an example of encouraging women. I think women-owned businesses are a minority in India. In fact, they don't feel comfortable. One of the surveys said 42% of the people feel that voices and contributions are not appreciated in the businesses. So a lot of initiatives taken by the government which need to strengthen further. One is the acceleration program for existing startups to grow further, granting aid and incubation program in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities to support early stage women entrepreneurs to transform their ideas into a business. I think this will help us, a lot of women, to come into this ecosystem. We talk about frugal innovation. I'm not going to read everything except to say that it is to engage and iterate, and we need to flex your assets both in clean and green manufacturing, microfactories, digitizing of assets, create sustainable solutions, be it circular economy or waste to health, and shape customers' behavior. In fact, usage of visualization, social learning, co-creation, I know is something which we need to involve the customers when you develop a product. That's a very interesting domain where people have to dwell on that maybe at a different occasion. And stakeholders as friends, please take stakeholders as friends. And that's where the best practices, byproduct synergy will happen. And the best part of it is the belief that India can be a trend-setting practitioner and thought leader in all these domains. And of course, we all dream. Government announced that India to be a $5 trillion economy, not far from a few years from now. What is the roadmap for that? I think complementing it with all-inclusive welfare at the micro level, promoting digital economy and fintech, technology-enabled development, and we need to go through an energy transition for climate action. Relying on virtuous cycle of investment and growth is what I think is required. And of course, some people who are negative will think, oh, can we become? But I think we believe if you see by the growth of the startup ecosystem and the number of the employment that is generated and the newer ideas that are being explored, I think one should not have a doubt that we will achieve the target of becoming a $5 trillion economy very soon. I know that many of the government officials who are listening to me are looking about tourism. There are a lot of tourism startups which are already there in our system there. And you can see today, travel and tourism has a tremendous potential. A lot of tourists come to India, which are from the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, countries like that. India is the most popular tourist-based Google searches. And over the next decade, the tourism GDP is to grow on an average about 7.8%, one estimate puts it. And it can create more than 24 million jobs in the coming decade. And the number says in the year 2021, I think the income that is generated is almost 8.8 billions. And the latest numbers I could not locate. And that means a huge potential is there for tourism sector. These are all some of the startups like Make My Trip, Go Ibibo, which I started using it very nicely, novel way. And I think Clear Trip, I think those of you who are involved in traveling, you must not have missed many of these things, which are essentially startups matured into started providing support. I'm sure that, just few days back, a lot of things happened. Prime Minister Modi visited Lakshadweep, and you can see very nice pictures. And you can see, you feel like going there. This actually event has got a lot of importance. Everybody started talking about this visit and these pictures, and this is because the Lakshadweep, by just being there, he gave the importance to this island, and that too, what happened in the country, which the Maldives, and this is where it's very important how an event can be captured to convert into a marketing probability. And when it comes to Karnataka, I think Karnataka is a country, is a state which is blessed with the heritage sites like Hampi, natural falls like Shiva Samudra, or some of the things which I picked up from internet. So Karnataka inhabits many heritage, historic, cultural, and religious and natural beauty. It's something we are blessed there. If you're traveling from Bangalore to Mangalore, you would see the natural beauty which is there, which is whether you go by bus or car or train, you would not you would enjoy the travel itself. The immense potential for tourism, both domestic and foreign. You need to take steps to bring it to the knowledge of potential tourists. And this is the biggest challenge. It is not only Hampi which you should think about it. We need to take steps to bring the natural beauty or the cultural heritage of the state to the potential tourist. Reaching out is the way forward. I think you need to reach out, and startups can play an important role in reaching out to the people. And that's where we need the policies to encourage, or the government to encourage, and this process. I think for me, to documenting it, reaching out to the people, and enabling mechanisms is what is important. Well, to realize its potential, full potential, we need to take steps necessary to help the economic units to grow larger. And you link the small habitations, small farms, and small enterprises to be linked, and reforms enabling enterprises to grow and create employment. Ultimately, that is what is important for a country like ours, where large youth population is there. Many of these growth should happen in employment generation, and through employment and their contributions, the enterprises should grow, and by through that, the government and the country should grow and prosper, and that's what is the way forward. Well, we have been talking repeatedly about innovation, and this is where innovation has to be internalized in all the stakeholders, be it the government, be it the employees working in the government and the departments, or in the ecosystem there. You need to internalize this process. So if you want to be innovative, empower people, but hold them accountable for their work and their decision. This is very important for me. You have to empower people, but have an accountability. It's not important that you are empowering somebody and he or she does whatever they want, and but then you need to be accountable. You need to have talented people in all levels of the organization. This is very important, that your talent is important. Identifying the talented people are important. Have tools and structures in place to make sure things happen and the right things moving forward. Because when you want to take it forward, you need to make things happen, but also to ensure the right things move forward. So you should have a clear vision and a strategy that everyone understands. Focus on implementing ideas instead of just talking about them. If you sit and say Karnataka should be number one, you have to take your ideas to reality, and that's where focus on implementing ideas instead of just talking about them. And many times it looks difficult whenever you want to do something new. That is what the startup ecosystem is there. If you take 10 startups, maybe one startup is going to cross this mountain, the barriers, but then you need to do this journey to realize that yes, you can achieve that. So I'll stop here, and I thank you for the attention.